Good morning. My name is Frank Lange. It is my pleasure to welcome you today to Sunday service, Golden Gate Center for Spiritual Living. Will you please take a moment to turn off your cell phones and say hello to one or two people near you? Okay. I have a couple of things to share with you on prayer. This first one I picked up this last week. It's from the Bible. Whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you have received it, and it will be yours. That is from Mark. He that believeth in me, the works that I do shall he do also, and greater works than these shall he do. That's from John. This is from Ernest. Science of Mind textbook, page 431. The secret of prayer. Secret of prayer and its power in the outward life depends upon an unconditioned faith in and reliance upon this inner presence. We must enter the closet. That is, we are to shut out all else and enter the presence of Spirit in quietness and confidence, believing. Prayer has power, not through repetition, but by belief and acceptance. Prayer is to be simple, direct, and receiving. We are to believe that God indwells our own life, that this divine presence is sufficient for all needs. We are to believe that God will provide for and bless us abundantly. And when we enter this secret place, we are to leave all else behind. All hate, animosity, and vindictiveness, for only in so doing can we enter. And finally, on page 293, this is part of a larger meditation that he gives us. This is an affirmation. I expect fully and emphatically the answer to my prayer today. Right now, do I possess this thing I so greatly desire? I remove my fear of lack and negation, for it is the only barrier which stands in the way of my experience of good. I alone can remove it, and I do remove it now. Amen. All right, thank you. Well, we're got a great service today. We're welcoming back an old friend, Anton. Hi. Will you please join us in the morning chant? And it will be followed by a Science of Mind prayer. Who's our practitioner of the day?
Katherine.
Yay. All right.
And of course, with me is Laura Berryhill, who's been touring with me for 6 years. Words by Emma Curtis Hopkins and Ernest Holmes. Would you guys like to stand for these upbeat songs? There's a good for me and I ought to have it. A good for me and I ought to have it. There's a good for me and I ought to have it. A good for me and I ought to have it. There's a good for me and I ought to have it. A good for me and I I ought to have it. There's a good for me, and I ought to have it. Good for me, and I ought to have it.
So we're going to transition into a chant to recreate the universe as a three-dimensional mandala of universal compassion. Om Tare Tare, Tu Tare, Tu Re Soha.
In the peace of the One, in the breath of the One, in the I am of the One, I dive into that ocean of the One, and I find my source, my origin, my substance, the allness, the unconditional, the unborn, the never dying, the Om that sings all of creation into being, and it is humming in my veins, breathing through my nostrils, beating my heart. And this is the truth of everyone here, of all of life, on every plane of being, in every universe, in the billions of galaxies, and in this center, this community, right here in this moment. In this unity, I speak the word, and it is the word of I am, and let there be. And so I claim this morning the blessing of community, connection, communion, of God's goodness and givingness being right here, emerging, revealing, and healing with its very presence. I give thanks for Rev Karyl's receptivity, openness, being that vessel through which the word emerges with eloquence and insight and revelation. I give thanks for the receptivity and openness and consciousness with which each of us sits to receive. and then to take that which has been received and to plant it in our lives as we go about our daily affairs, so that the seed does not fall on fallow ground, but on fertile. This day is the day the Lord has made, and it is good. And so in this moment, I declare, all is blessed, all is well, it is done, it is good, and so it is. And let us give thanks and blessings to our wonderful musicians, Anton Vizarek and Laura Berryhill.
Om tare tare, tu tare tu re soha. 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 Om tare tare, tu tare tu re soha.
Never-ending seek our truth. On the journey to perfection, do we see our inner light as the candle in the window, in the darkness of the night, where every star's a candle in spirit's vast array, and the song within our hearts is there to help us on the way. We sing Om Shanti, 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 Om. Om Shanti, 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 Om. We sing Om Shanti, 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 Om. Om Shanti, 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 Om. Its whisper leads us home. Thank you.
That was wonderful. Thank you. Good morning, everybody. I'm Rev Karyl Huntley, and the first thing that we do when I stand up is welcome people who are here for the first time or back after a long time. And we have people here from our dear membership team, and they have a packet of information. If you would like this packet of information and you don't have it, all you do is raise your hand in just a moment. If you fill out the blue card in the packet and give it back to one of these wonderful people, you get How to Speak Science of Mind, which is a very easy book about our philosophy with a lot of information in it, very readable and wonderful. So anybody here for the first time, just raise your hand. There's one. You looked familiar to me, but that means you belong here. Good to have you. Anyone else? Okay, welcome. So today is the first day of Advent, one more, and so we do Advent a little bit differently here. You know, Advent is 4 Sundays before Christmas, and in traditional Christianity, the Advent Sundays are for preparation, preparing for the birth of the Christ within. And so I absolutely hold with that we have this opportunity to remind ourselves that we are divinity. And so for 4 Sundays, we remind ourselves of that. But here also, we realize that we are children of the earth. And so we are, in the dark time of the year, awaiting the return of the sun. And so for 4 Sundays, we honor the different parts of our earthly system. This week, we honor earth, and there's rocks on the altar, which is a beautiful altar made by Susanne DuBois, that she said is kind of fall moving into winter, which we can really see. It's beautiful up here with the rocks. The next Sunday will be plants. The Sunday after that, animals. The Sunday after that, which is also Christmas Eve, will be the blessing of the people. So here's our little song. And so let's just sing it through once so we all kind of got it. So here we go.
Okay, let's sing.
We light a candle in the dark to greet the newborn sun. The earth turns upon its axis, a new year is begun.
Is that great? You remember from last year. One more
A
time.
new year is begun. We
Thank you. Thank you. I welcome you to come up and look at the altar after the service. It's just beautiful, and the rocks are fabulous. Our whole year, this year, and now we're in the last month of the year, we have been talking about values-based spiritual living. And the way we live values-based spiritual living is to decide on a value, commit to it, follow it with action and with our words. And that's what I've been asking us all to do every single week this year, and we've got 1 month to go. The December theme is integrity. So the common understanding of integrity, as I thought about it, is it's a little bit, it's got pieces and parts to it. It's doing what we say we're going to do. It's being consistent with all of our people, saying the same thing to everybody, so everybody is on the same page with us, not working one group against another or anything like that. It's being honest, and it's being safe. Right? Isn't that what we kind of think of as being integrous, that we do what we say we're going to do? We're safe people. Nobody thinks that we're going to damage them in any way. So when we look at this from a spiritual perspective, there's a little bit more complexity even. So the title of my talk today is Integrity, Our Part and God's Part. And I love this image that Mary found. It's kind of like there's some structure in there that human beings made and a lot of structure that just God made. So it sort of suggests that there's the two parts that I want to talk about. So we only have to pay attention to our part because God takes care of God's part. It's really good if we are aware of what God's part is so that we can harmonize with it. But God is integrous, and we're going to explore how that is. We have to understand and accept God's part in order to be effective in our life. So the values that we're going to talk about today are, first of all, faith. Faith in the nature of the universe, faith in the system that I'm going to tell you about, faith that God is taking care of God's part. We do not have to do God's part. The next value is study. And people on a spiritual path, I recommend that we study all the time, that we remind ourselves of spiritual principles, that we understand the system of the universe better and better and better so that we can use it effectively. And then that suggests the third value, which is consistency. We have to do it over and over again all the time. That's what being a spiritual student is, a spiritual practitioner of any kind. So I want to talk about now the definition of integrity. I looked this up online, and there are 3 aspects. You can do it yourself. The first one is completeness. And so in completeness, we realize that there is nothing left out of a structure that is integrous. It's absolutely complete in itself. There's nothing that is missing. There's not the system here and a part of it over here. It's complete in itself. The next aspect of integrity is wholeness. And to me, wholeness means there's nothing that has to be added. So with those two things, there's nothing that is left out, and there's nothing that needs to be added. An integrous system is a whole, complete, and perfect system of its own. It's balanced, it's harmonious, and all of those other divine qualities that suggest that there's something that's working and there's nothing that's left out, and you're not going looking for something because it's all there. Got it? Okay. Then there's one more, and that is if we're in integrity, we are in possession of firm principles. One with integrity can be trusted to live within a moral system, right? So those are the 3 parts that we need to kind of look at when we think about integrity. And some of that is God's, and some of that is ours. So this is what I think. I think that God's part is that those first 2 things. That when we say that God is whole, complete, and perfect, it means that this God's life, the wholeness of the universe, as Ernest Holmes says, the thing itself, there is nothing that is left out and there's nothing that needs to be added. It is an entire complete system. And when I teach foundations, the first night I draw this circle and I say that is all there is, and we call that God. There's nothing left out. There's nothing on the outside of God. If we think of something on the outside, we draw the circle bigger, and then we include that. And as much as we can conceive that God is more. Because if we can conceive of more, we have to include it in the wholeness. So that leaves this part, possession of firm principles right here, which is our part. We recognize that we live within the system of wholeness and perfection, and we have to live in harmony with that, replicating the nature of God in order to live a happy life. You know, we say that God is generous in giving. God gives everything all the time. If we replicate that aspect of God, we are living in God's image. You know, in the Bible it says we're made in God's image, but that's fine. We have to continue to live in God's image and to live as if we really were the divine life that God is, which of course we are. When we live in harmony with that, everything works out. We're happy, life works, we have what we need, we meet the people we need to, and if we pull back from that, in other words, if we say something is wrong and continually say something is wrong, that picks at our concept of wholeness and completeness. We have the notion that something in God's universe could actually be wrong instead of just appear incomplete or unskilled or not useful. It's a fine line, but you get it? I mean, I say this all the time. If you don't get it, keep coming back, and maybe I'll find another way to say it. But so I want to go into God's part in the integrity pattern, okay? So we're going to talk about the nature of God. And if you don't like that word, there's others. Universal love intelligence, all that is. Jean Houston calls God the pattern that connects. A favorite of metaphysicians is source, beloved. I sometimes often use the infinite presence when I'm praying. But, you know, Hafez calls it the friend. The allness that is the friend. Sometimes if I'm praying personally, I call it the beloved of my soul. So those are, don't get hung up on the word God if you don't want to. Just call it energy or all that is. So this all that is thing is infinite. That's the, where's it going to appear? Okay, there you go, infinite. It cannot perceive an ending, an edge, a boundary. There's not one time that it was and one time that it wasn't. It was always and forever. It is, there's never a dimension that we can conceive of. All those scientists that say there's 12 dimensions, none of it is absent of God. God is in and through it, the fibers that connect every single thing. And if we can think of something that we wonder if it's God, God is more than this. So we keep including and including. So I don't know about you, but it's hard for me to relate to the allness, to just kind of jump into the allness and know that it is infinite. So this next one is one of my favorite aspects of God, and that is intimate. All through every holy text, there are words that try to describe our relationship to the source, which we are one with. In the Bible, it says that God knows every single blade of grass, that God takes care of the birds of the field, and so why wouldn't he or it or she take care of us? In the Psalms, it says that we were known in our mother's womb. In the New Testament, it says, I and the Father are one. There's no separation. I think in John it says, abide in me and I in you. That's sweet, sweet intimacy. And I have a couple of other things, one from the Psalms that I'll read second, but this is from Hafez that I love so much. This one. This is from The Subject Tonight is Love. We keep each other happy is the name of this little poem. Like two lovers who have become lost in a winter blizzard and find a cozy empty hut in the forest, I now huddle everywhere with the friend. God and I have built an immense fire together. We keep each other happy and warm. Isn't that the sweetest? Matched by Psalm 139. O Lord, thou hast searched me and known me. Thou knowest my downsitting and mine uprising. Thou understandest my thought afar off. Thou compassest my path and my lying down, and art acquainted with all my ways. For there is not a word in my tongue, but lo, O Lord, thou knowest it altogether. Thou hast beset me behind and before, and laid thine hand upon me. Such knowledge is too wonderful for me. It is high. I cannot attain unto it. So that is the intimacy with which our Creator knows us. And the most satisfying of spiritual practice for me is to lean into that, to feel that I am coming as close to the Divine One as the Divine One is coming close to me. It's that wonderful sacred two-ness that comes from the sacred oneness. Yeah. The next quality of the nature of God is indivisible. Because God is whole and complete, there cannot be a place in the universe where part of God is here and another part of God is here. And if you're over here with this part of God, you don't have access to that part of God. That's not the way the system and the pattern works. The pattern works that the power and presence and ability of God to create, to manifest, to guide, protect, and be one with us is everywhere present in its fullness and its power all the time, all the time, all the time. So you don't have to go looking for power, because the power that created the universe is right where the bottom of your breath is. It's right where, the top of your head is. It is everywhere. So God is present and available in its pure, full power at every point. And the last quality of God I want to talk about for a little bit is perfect. We say in Science of Mind, God is whole, complete, and perfect. And that just kind of sums up that it lacks nothing, it contains all, and it gives all, and it's not withholding. Okay? With these qualities, there are some things that God is not. God is not intentionally aggravating. If you have prayed and prayed and prayed and prayed and not gotten what you prayed for, it is not that God is saying, well, let me see how they're going to do with one more day without that thing. God does not intentionally aggravate us. God is not punishing. God is not personality driven. It is integrous in its divine principles of wholeness and completeness and giving everything. Also, this is the most thrilling part of the whole talk this morning. God doesn't have any choice about this. God does not have any choice but to be fully integrous and giving all of itself all the time at every point equally. God has no choice. God cannot say, I'm going to withhold from this one, or I'm going to be absent from this, 20 minutes over here, I'm going to be absent. No. All of this wholeness, completeness, and perfection is given continuously, 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 and God doesn't have any choice. It always is happening like that. In the textbook, it says, the universe is impersonal. It gives to all alike. It is no respecter of persons. It values each alike. Its nature is to impart, and ours is to receive. So, if there is a problem with you not getting what you want, guess where it is? It's not with God. So, what we do with this information about the nature of God is to have faith in it. That's one of the value of today. We have faith that God is complete, God always is giving, God has no choice about this. All of our good is available to us right now where we are. We don't have to go anywhere or ask in any different way. We just open to receive. It's God's job to impart, our job to receive. Okay? So, one more layer of this, what God's nature means to us. We are, first of all, included. We are included in the wholeness. We are included in the good. Our mind is the mind of God. When goodness seems elusive, it is us and not God who has shifted. So that's it. That's it. We are included. If you don't feel included, it's because it's time for this wonderful story again. It's not in my notes, but it's like, okay, now. The comfortable and the uncomfortable guest, remember this? A beautiful spread. I mean, we just had one at Thanksgiving. We're going to have another one at Christmas. Beautiful party with beautiful food and beautiful decorations and candlelight and everybody dressed nice. And the invitations went out. And the two kinds of people I want to talk to you about are the comfortable and the uncomfortable guest. The uncomfortable guest comes in and feels unappreciated, undeserving, in some way, what am I doing here? But they're so hungry that they to stuff their face and their pockets and leave. That's the uncomfortable guest. The comfortable guest comes in, just takes a look at it all and gets the eye of the host, and the host beckons him over, and the comfortable guest says, "Oh, you've outdone yourself." God, because God's the host. And the host says, "Oh, I know, it's so great. Everything turned out so well. People are having such a good time. And listen, I know that pumpkin pie is your very favorite. And so I've set one aside for you in the kitchen. Make sure you get it before you go." That is the life that is presented to all of us. This party that is made for us. And so if we feel unincluded, we're the uncomfortable guest. So we are also guided. Our mind is the mind of God. In the mind of God are all solutions, all answers, inspiration, intuition. It's the still small voice within us. It takes practice to hear it, but all you need to do is be still and say, "My mind, please turn off and let me hear the still small voice." You may have to do it several times, but I'm telling you, it's there. And finally, what God's nature means to us is that we are supplied. Because of that impersonal nature of the universe and God, and because all of it is always given all the time, it is given to all alike. We started this great class in prosperity, the new topics in prosperity. It's on Tuesday nights. It's still open to anybody. There's 3 more in this run through. I might do it again because there's a lot of people there. And what we found is that our relationship to supply has a lot to do with how we were raised and how our families related to supply. And so the teaching is over and over and over and over and over again, you are at the party. And all of the dishes that you could possibly want are available to you. Anything that you want is available to you. And our job is to know how beloved we are, how supplied, how guided, how included. And that is it's part of the faith value that we're talking about, and it's part of the study value that we're talking about. Because if this is brand new to you, there is something within you right now that is saying, finally, you're hearing the truth. Listen to this and study it. Right? Yeah. So once again, the definition of integrity, do I have to go through all this again? Completeness, wholeness, principles. We've talked about God's part. And now we're going to talk about what our part is. And what we mean, what we have to do is live within the principles of this system of life that is whole, complete, and perfect. So that's what we're going to do now. We're going to talk about living within the principles. And remember, last week I talked about what a principle is, and that is a fundamental truth about life that is proven through application. It is proven just by living in it. Like you are proving the principle of gravity right now. You are not floating away. And you're also proving the principle of it's done unto you as you believe. So first of all, in working with the principles, we have to know what they are. And for this, we take a class, we study, we see a practitioner. The practitioners are steeped in spiritual principle. One of them is, it is done unto you as you believe. Another one is, the universe is abundant. Another one is, what you focus on increases. Those are principles, and you prove them over and over and over again, whether you know it or not. That's why I'm begging you not to say what is so awful about the world, because what you focus on increases, and if you keep saying what's so awful about the world, that's what you're going to see more and more and more of, right? Yeah. Okay, next is apply the principles to challenges. So let's take this for an example. The universe is abundant. This is the principle. And your experience right now may be lack or something. And you believe that you cannot be abundant. In this universe of abundance, for some reason, you've got this belief going that you can't be abundant because of whatever. You know, you don't make enough money or whatever. But here is how you take that experience of lack and you bring it into alignment with the principle. This is what you say to yourself. My conclusion that I am in lack is not correct because it does not conform to the principle. Now, if that sounds crazy to you, I really understand it. Because if you have been living this experience of lack your whole life just by asserting that you're wrong. I am wrong in my conclusion. I am not correct because it does not conform to the principle of abundance in the universe. That can sound crazy, but believe me, that's how we work with principle and challenges. And, you know, every spiritual tradition has a leap of faith that people are asked to leap into. You know, that's what faith is. It's the evidence of things unseen. You don't have the certainty of being able to see it. And the leap of faith that metaphysics asks you to make is believe in the principles when your experience is showing you a different thing. That's it. To say to yourself, this is my experience, and I don't believe it is in principle. So I am going to repeat the principle to myself until my mind believes it. That is the leap of faith that we ask you to do. And that, if there were another way to change your life, I would be up here telling you about it. But I don't think there is. I do not think there is. Okay. And then the only other thing you have to do is be consistent. You got to keep doing it. Now, what some people do is they get this and they say, okay, I'm gonna do what Rev Karyl says. I'm going to say I am incorrect, and I am going to instead do everything I can to install the belief in that principle, to have faith, to study, and to believe. And then after a week, something else happens that conforms to your old experience, and you say, oh, this stuff doesn't work. So let me tell you a little story about that. And I'm going to tell you a story by talking about this apple. So in northern Scotland, I've told you about this before, but if you haven't been here, Findhorn is the name of the retreat center, and at the formation of the beginnings, the birth of this retreat center, when it was just a few families coming together, they planted gardens, and the spirit of the plants began talking to the people. And the people believed it and did what the spirit of the plants told them to do, like thin me out, or go and take a cow pie from the field over there, soak it in water, and give me that water. And don't plant me right beside this kind of flower, plant me beside this kind of flower. Whatever the spirit of the plant told them, they did it. And they grew huge vegetables and flowers. And then the spirit of the plants started telling them spiritual truths about how manifestation happens in their life. Not only manifesting zucchini, but manifesting relationships or manifesting abundance. So what I'm going to read to you is what is kind of a little dictation that they took from the apple deva, or the apple spirit. This is what the apple deva said to them. You feel drawn to us by the clustered blossom and the promise of fruit to come. That from a fragile, scarcely colored, and short-lived bloom, a sturdy, rosy apple appears is but one of God's miracles enacted many times over for all to observe. If you could see more of how this is brought about by the chain of life, wonder would lift you high. As from the seed a tree grows, so from the seed idea, a pattern issues forth from the center, passed on by silent ranks of angels, silent and still, because that idea is still too unformed and unfixed to endure any but the most exacting care. Then the pattern is passed on to the elements, the makers of form. They give of themselves to clothe that pattern. Then at the appropriate opportunity, through the ministrations of the nature spirits, it appears in time and place. This is the Word made flesh. This is all creation, held in balance by great layers of life of which your conscious mind is unaware. You, man, have the fruits, although you do only a small part of the work. May your praise be greater than ours, which never ceases. So what happens is, when you create a pattern, it originates from the divine center, and the angels or whatever pass it on, and then it is ministered to by the nature spirits, and they make stuff. So here you are saying, I believe that abundance is mine. I believe that my needs are taken care of. I believe that all that the Father has is mine. And those little hands of the nature spirits are making it. And then if you say, oh, I don't believe in this anymore, they go, oh, okay, not believe. That's how it happens. You have to be consistent enough for the thing to appear. And then it does. It's the simplest thing. Just do this. Please do this. So that's integrity. It's an integrous system. God always does its part because there's no choice, and we have choice. We have great responsibility because we have the choice. We have the choice of saying, okay, I'm going to work within principle, and all those layers of life help you work within principle, and then you go, oh, this stuff doesn't work. And all those layers of life work with your denial. So, faith, study, and consistency. Put your hands on your heart and say that with me. Faith, study, and consistency. Thank you. I'm doing this right with you. So, inner work now. With the practitioners, please surround the room. So, as we turn within, the friend awaits. The friend is at the center of our heart. That is the intimacy of the infinite presence. And then all around and through us are the ministrations of the levels of life making our thoughts into reality. This is the nature of love and law. Love that is the intimate connection with our source. The friend whispering to us in the center of our being. And then our choices, which the nature spirits and all the other levels of life are making for us without ceasing. They too have no choice. They make what we think about. And so may our thoughts and may our heart be as pure as we can possibly imagine. And may each and every one of us live within that spiritual principle to the level of our understanding, knowing that tomorrow, with faith, study, and consistency, our understanding will be greater, and our power to create a world that works for everyone will be greater as well. And so it is. Amen.
Circulate
my days. Let it show that Spirit is at hand. Let it flow. Let it flow. Let it Let it flow.
As I always want to do, I want to start from a place of gratitude, and I want to thank Laura and Anton for providing us that soul-enriching music, truly. And, of course, last but not least, Rev Karyl. Great talk. Thank you. And I invite, give it up for all of them. I invite the ushers to come forward. Early on in Carol's talk, she mentioned about the generosity as part of God's nature. And I'm asking you to manifest that quality to help this center prosper. So with that in mind and that energy put into your giving today, would the ushers please accept the gifts?
So blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful, I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. So blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful, I am so
And together we say, this gift I give is God in action. I now send it forth to bless and to prosper. I know that everywhere it goes, it is creating a world living in love, one heart and one thought at a time, and so it is.
Next. Okay. So we're moving into the announcements now, and I grabbed a hold of Anne Lange, and I'm going to take her back to her husband here, because this is the couple that we are acknowledging today. They're in the bulletin about how grateful we are for the Langes. This is a couple that serves this community by attending every single thing. Every single thing. And when they are there, wherever there is, they are friendlier than 40 people put together. I mean, people, Jean is a ray of sunlight, and that contributes so much to this community. Anne has taken every class we offer. She is on the Sunday team. And Gene actually made the stand that the video camera is on right over there. And he made a speaker's a lectern. I think you made that one. And we just repainted it. Yeah, made that lectern. And they've been here forever. And they are pillars of this community. So please, please give gratitude to them. Thank you. And definitely go and get a hug from them and you'll just feel better. So I want to thank everybody that worked on the teams today. This set up by Jim and Cece. The giving tree back there is Sophie. Sophie will be there to receive your gifts and to give you the suggestions for buying gifts for the transition group Homeward Bound, the children especially of Homeward Bound. I want to thank Jim on sound and Ron on the video camera, Cece on PowerPoint, our wonderful, wonderful practitioners today. Thank you so much. You're going to have a busy day after the service. And Suzanne DuBois for the altar, Anton and Laura for the music. That was absolutely fabulous. And they have their CDs available at the table right over there. I also want to thank the Sunday team headed up by Paula today and the youth and family team that is ready for children every single Sunday. They have a lesson. So thank you very, very much. Today also is Partnership Sunday. You want me to do this or I'll do this? Partnership Sunday. So Reverend Barbara's here. Welcome, Reverend Barbara. This is our sister community 11 time zones away in Ukraine.
Have you ever wondered if it's true that everything is the answer to prayer, as we say it is? Or if you haven't wondered if it's true, have you wondered how it works? Well, I have. And today, driving down here, I had this thought of something to share with you, which is so in alignment to your talk that, it's like, oh my God, this thing is always working. And so I had an experience yesterday that demonstrated to me beyond a shadow of a doubt that my prayers are always answered, even when it doesn't look like it. Do you know the kind of prayer answer I'm talking about? And so I want to just make it so clear for us. Have you ever heard, I know I've heard Rev Karyl say so many times, my mind is a center of divine operation. Its purpose is to expand and express itself as us through us. Have you heard, it's done as I believe. Everything is here for our good. The whole thing is always serving us. And so I see myself at the point where the love and the law are moving. I'm that center point. We're that center point. So last night, at the end of a glorious family celebrational day of the Spirit of Christmas Cascade Theater production and a great dinner in an Irish pub and great music, and then walking out into a great parade, which I was sure I wasn't going to go to any of except the theater. But my grandkids said, come and do this. I went off to look for my car. And I looked and I looked. And I had a memory of when I was in the theater around 3 o'clock when somebody came in and said, if you parked over there on Sacramento Street or over there on whatever, your car's going to be towed. And I went, well, that's not me, So my prayer is to simplify my life without losing the meaning or the manifestation. To simplify, more joy, more whatever. And this partnership is definitely a part of that. So getting somewhere on time was really important. I got there late. I parked in a place that had no signs, but unbeknownst to me, in the mystery of Reading, you're not allowed to park there. And we were all towed. And at 9 o'clock last night, I went, well, what's my response to this situation? I want to be here. I don't have a car. It's too late to rent one. How to get here? And what happened was, instead of grumbling, and there were 6 of us, we all could have grumbled. Instead of grumbling, we said, well, okay, let's just think. Let's just give a moment, pause, peace. And my granddaughter said, well, she said, Dad, why don't you lend her your car? And Dad said, well, what am I going to do? I have to go to work. And the other granddaughter said, well, Mom, you could get together and team up just for a day. And they said, yeah, but you'd have to get up early to go to school. And they said, well, we'll do it, Baba, because we want you to get to your meeting tomorrow. And it's really important to you. And so they all promised to wake up early, take one car, and do the thing so that I could have the truck to get here, to realize that the love and law is working us in this partnership with God, sometimes when we don't know what our prayer is or what the answer is. And what if the generosity that came out of them yesterday to support me today is needed for some prayer they haven't yet said, or some prayer we haven't yet said, that's about something that's supposed to be today? And so I trust this. And if this is interesting to you, this is what our partnership is about. And so I'm at the back table, and about 15 minutes after the service is over, I'm in the green room with anybody who'd like to come and learn more about our partnership, because amazing things are happening. And we are replicating Spirit very deeply. And we invite you to do it with us for the benefit of all of the partnership. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So that's at the back table there. Next, I want to tell you that you're welcome on Tuesday evening at 6:30 at the Learning Center to join me and 10 or 12 other people learning about prosperity. Bodhi's new CD release is December 10th. Isn't that a cool cover? That is such a cool cover. The Holiday Art and Craft Fair is going to be next week. So people are going to set up early. You can shop before and after the service. Bring some cash. And I got this last year, so how sweet is that? So it's going to be fabulous. Using eScript when holiday shopping. Do you want to? Yeah, come on up, Maria. Briefly.
Good morning. So in the email that went out, there are links that you can click on to sign up for eScript. So first you sign up, register your credit cards, and then you download the software, the Forget-Me-Not, on your computer. So anytime you go online and shop, it'll tell you at the top, this website will donate to Golden Gate Center for Spiritual Living. If you're going to buy, maybe you're going to get that new iPhone. Go online, Apple, click on it, that you can then pick it up in the store. But it will donate, I forget, it's like 0.6% or 1%, but of an iPhone, if you're doing anything like that, I mean, this adds up. If we all do this, a couple dollars from 50 of us, 100 of us, makes a difference. So check your email, the links are in there, or you can come see me. I'll stand at the back if you want some help or have some questions. Okay.
Yay, perfect. Julie. We don't have a slide for this, but Julie's going to talk a little bit about the REST program for New Year's Eve, right? Or is it Christmas Eve? New Year's Eve. Yay. And Susanne Karch.
Wow. My name's Julie Roby, and this is Susanne Karch. We are recruiting helpers, Santa's elves who will stay on for New Year's Eve. We're looking for people willing to serve a dinner to homeless men on New Year's Eve. No cooking involved. You just come, and there may be a bag of tangerines or something we ask you to bring if you are inspired to do that. So where is it? It's at Westminster Presbyterian Church, which is a mile from Highway 101, going on Tiburon Boulevard. It's about 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. on New Year's Eve. If you need to leave earlier for something else you have going on, you're welcome to do that. We would love to have you there as part of our gift to homeless men who come to that church by bus to be served a hot meal bring their sleeping bags on the shuttle bus and spend the night on the carpet. So if you want to be part of that, I'll be back in that corner right after service. Come see me, please. Thank you.
And next, if you would like to open your home for your community to have a Christmas meal, let us know. There usually is someone who would like to open their home. Then if you're the host, you get to say whether it's 2 o'clock or 4 o'clock or 6 o'clock, and you get to make the rules about whether it's all going to be Chinese food or a variety. The Christmas giving tree, as I said, right in the back there with Sophie. Sagittarians, if it's your birthday, go get a birthday sheet from the practitioners and you can get a free practitioner session. The winter solstice is coming up on December 20th. That's a Wednesday. It's going to be intimate at the Learning Center, and we want you to come smack dab on time because the space is limited. And there's sign-up sheets in the back for both setup and food at the events table. Then we're going to do something fun on the 31st of this year because New Year's Eve is on a Sunday. And so we're going to do like a retrospective of the year. So if you can remember what your favorite things are from this year, go write them on a little sheet in the back there, and I'll incorporate them into the last talk of 2017. And then finally, the finished flyer for my trip this summer to France is in the back right there, and you can pick one up. And if there isn't a sign-up sheet, there will be next week for more information. Phew, that's them. Them's the announcements. So if you would please stand for the affirmation and closing song. And you're blessed. I'm just going to bless you like that. That's the community blessing. And now, affirmation with me. I operate within the unshakable faith of God's wholeness and perfection. The universe is secure, and I am safe, supplied, and connected to my good within it. All is well with me as I live my oneness with God.